Thanks always goes to Laura, the herder of cats, for our Public Health and Safety Committee meeting, which you have just joined today on Tuesday, October 10th, 8 a.m. And for the record, it is wet outside. Welcome, darkness. Number one is call to order, which we just did. Look at that, how quickly that just went. Number two is roll call. I see Angela Jefferson, and I am pretty sure Peter Agave will join us after he drops his kid off to school. Three is approval of the minutes from Public Health and Safety Committee meeting September 12th, 2023. Angela, did you see? Oh, look at you, already gone. Apologies. Go ahead, Angela.
I move that we approve.
I will second because Peter is not here to second. Any discussion between Angela and myself? No. All right. All those in favor of approving the Public Health and Safety Committee meeting minutes from September 12th, 2023, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Meeting minutes have passed. Next, item 4, we have interlocal agreement with Pierce College for paramedic training. Chief Hurley, what does this mean?
Great. Well, thank you. Welcome. Good morning. We just asked for a few minutes of your time to go over an agreement that we hope to recommend to council to have the mayor to sign, and it's related to a relationship, an interlocal agreement with Pierce College, so we can assist in their paramedic training program. And I do have a brief set of slides here. I promise there's only 20 or 30. Just kidding.
Thank you so much.
If you don't mind me sharing my screen,
please do so.
I'll see if I can struggle through this.
There
right.
you go.
How we doing there? Okay.
That's perfect.
So we do have agreements with other groups, and I'll go through this pretty quickly, but just to remind everyone, we have, through our contract with Thurston County Medic 1, 19 paramedic firefighters in the fire department, supported by Thurston County Medic 1. We staff 2 medic units, one here in the city, and as part of the Medic 1 system, one in the Rochester area to serve down there, and our employees rotate down there to cover that unit. And these units are basically mobile emergency critical care units, providing advanced life support care. To become certified, the certifying body initially is the National Registry of Emergency Medical Technicians. Once someone has that, they can apply to be certified in Washington through the Department of Health. And ultimately, they work under the medical license of a physician medical program director. And in this case, we have a county medical program director who oversees all of the medics and EMTs. The training is up to 1,800 hours, and you can see the topics covered there, as you would imagine, cardiology, patient assessment, all of these things take a great deal of time to become proficient at caring for. It's a combination of lectures, skills labs, so hands-on training, internships in the hospital, in the emergency room, in the operating room, working with anesthesiologists, OB/GYN rotations, mental health. There's a whole series of hospital rotations, but ultimately they need to come work in the field to get the real hands-on, and that's where we come in, and we provide that field internship opportunity where interns or students come in and work 24-hour shifts supervised by one of our paramedics, and they get real hands-on skills with patient assessment and IVs, intubation. And really one of the most important things is just critical thinking, decision making, what's the best disposition for the patient and what have you. Certainly assists us in training qualified paramedics. We currently have agreements with Tacoma Community College and Central Washington University. And this agreement, this Pierce College program is a new program, and the agreement is pretty much the same as the agreement we have with Tacoma. And of course, all of our agencies are struggling to hire paramedics, so whatever we can do to support that is very valuable for us. So the action requested today is just to recommend the interlocal agreement with Pierce College for paramedic training to the full council for approval at the next meeting. So be happy to take any questions that you might have.
Thank
I'll
you,
stop
Chief.
sharing here if I can figure that out. There we go.
Angela, did you have any questions?
No, pretty straightforward.
Thank you. Peter is on his way. He's stuck in traffic from delivering his child to school, which is that forever juggling of life. So, Chief, one of my questions is this similar to like, I know like, is this Bates Technical College? Is that paramedic or is that fire?
That's Bates Technical College. They have an EMT program. They don't have a paramedic program. And our relationship with them has mainly been sending recruits there for Fire Training Academy.
Okay. I think this is a great opportunity. I dig it. The one thing in your projections of your staff, have you thought, or is it an option to send your firefighters to paramedic training?
Great question. We have one there now. Dante Camarada is on an education assignment, and that's a great partnership with Medic One, where they help cover some of the backfill costs and some of the costs of school. So Dante Camarada is there now, and we had previously sent Ben Huntley, and Olympia and Lacey have done the same thing. It's a very good way to grow our own paramedics. Yeah.
All right, great. Andrea, would you like to move to recommend the interlocal agreement with Pierce College for paramedic training to full council for approval the next council meeting?
Move that we recommend approval to the council for the interlock agreement with Pierce College for paramedic training.
I will second. Any discussion, Angela, between you and myself? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Chief
Right.
Hurley.
And thank you for letting us get this on the agenda today to move it forward. Thank you.
Of course. All right, Troy, drum roll. Item number 5. Who do we have? What special guest do we have with us today?
All right, well, thank you. So at the last Public Health and Safety meeting, it was suggested that we get an update from the Office of Public Defense. And so we have Patrick O'Connor here with us today, and he is the Public Defense Administration Director. So I will turn it over to you, Patrick.
Well, thank you, Troy. Good morning, council members. Pleasure to be here. Patrick O'Connor, the Director of Thurston County Public Defense. Thurston County Public Defense has enjoyed our relationship with the city of Tumwater, providing indigent defense representation now for several years. And yeah, here to give just a brief update on how things are going so far in 23, and open up for any discussion and conversation or questions that committee members may have. So just to recap and to share with the public, we continue to provide indigent defense representation for the city of Tumwater. So anybody in the city of Tumwater who's arrested and charged with a crime, either a misdemeanor or a gross misdemeanor in our district court, if they're eligible for a public defender, they would be assigned an attorney with our office. We continue to employ one full-time public defender and one full-time legal assistant based on the case filings, and we've made that change 3 or 4 years ago when we had a second defender based on the number of filings. But with the decrease in filings, we currently have one defender, and I'll go over some of our numbers in a snapshot here, but we're still in good shape in terms of just needing one defender based on the caseloads. So obviously a couple of big changes this year, starting in August with the possession of controlled substances now being back on the books as a criminal offense. But the big change there is, those offenses prior to the Blake decision were felony offenses. So those cases from the city of Tumwater would go to our Superior Court felony team if they qualified again for defender services. Big shift in the law in August this year. And so those cases would now be filed in our district court. City of Tumwater obviously works with Thurston County courts and provides the court system provides the courtrooms, et cetera, staff, judges. So all the cases from the city come through Thurston County, and I'm happy to provide an update there, but we're in good shape. I see Chief's on the call as well. So we haven't seen a lot of those cases, but I do want the council to know that we've been working with our other justice partners, and Council Member Jefferson, as part of the Law and Justice Council, has been apprised of some of the things that we've been working on as a county that the city benefits in terms of a response to the recriminalization of personal possession. So our process right now is, and again, all City of Tumwater defendants would be eligible and offered the same opportunities as any other Thurston County defendant accused of possession of a controlled substance, is working with our law enforcement assisted diversion program. So if we identify somebody who's eligible, has that offense, we make a referral with the prosecuting attorney's office every morning. We look at every morning arrest sheets. I've already looked at that to identify individuals for the city that come into custody. And we'll make a referral to that law enforcement assisted diversion team that will engage with the defendant and see if they're interested in participating in a highly successful program with the endorsement of the prosecuting attorney's office. And we're still sort of in our first phase of that program. We're not building the plane as it's in the air, but we're learning a lot here early on responsivity and the population we're talking about, but the numbers have been really low. So year to date, just to share in terms of how many City of Tumwater defendants we've been appointed, we have a total of 188 cases, so just shy of 200 here heading into October. The breakdown of those cases, 31 of those have been misdemeanor offenses, 231 of those have been gross misdemeanor offenses, 85 of those composition-wise have been traffic offenses, so things like DUIs, etc. So a total of 247 charges from the City of Tumwater, but an individual can be charged with more than one offense. So our total number of clients served at this point is 188. So we're still well within the Washington standards for indigent defense. Essentially, each defender, each attorney can only represent a maximum of X amount of clients a year. For misdemeanor, it's 300. And so we're in good shape there to continue to need the resources we do, or we have right now to represent cases from the City of Tumwater. So I'm going to pause for a second in case there's any questions about composition of cases or anything that I've touched on so far.
Angela, do you have anything? No. Patrick, could you read those numbers again? 31 misdemeanors. What was the other two numbers? 85 traffic, and then I missed that middle one.
231 gross misdemeanors.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, those are things like, there could be, assault 4th degree, so domestic violence case, which I can break. I don't have all the composition of those cases, too, but I can get that for the committee if you'd like that information. But so far we're in good shape in terms of being able to handle the work.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Feedback. So just a couple other things just to share that, the city benefits from with what we've been working here in Thurston County. And one of the big benefits right now is our office has a direct relationship to the resource hub here on Thurston County Courthouse campus. The resource hub is literally a building, a space here that the county has constructed and is staffed with community providers that are there every day of the week, providing connections to behavioral health resources for individuals that are justice involved, but it really is independent of the justice system. So a client from the City of Tumwater can be walked over by their attorney to get signed up for health insurance, let's say, for example, or if they're suffering from a substance use disorder, to make a connection with a provider. All these sort of the suite of not just behavioral health issues, but also some of those issues that are underlining poverty issues that so many of our clients face. We're the #1 referrer of clients to that resource center, which makes sense. But I know our attorney that serves the City of Tumwater refers a lot of clients over there, and so it's just sharing, because it's a real benefit to the city and to the county that we're offering this type of interventions for individuals that are justice involved, hopefully with the hope that we can get some stability in their lives, absent what happens in their criminal case. So in furtherance of public safety, that hopefully whatever brought them into the justice system, these services can prevent recidivism and future contacts with law enforcement. One other service the city enjoys from the Public Defender's Office is we have an internal social worker here. All City of Tumwater clients are eligible to be referred to that social worker for, again, the connection to behavioral health issues. Relicensing is a program we're starting to work on as well. So there's just a suite of justice and justice systems that it's really, in my opinion, incredibly beneficial for the City of Tumwater to be a part of. Obviously, my role as the Chief Public Defender here extends our mission, vision, and values to the City of Tumwater as well, which is, we're obviously defending individuals in their criminal cases in the courtroom, but also really trying to change lives when we can. And with these partnerships, we're, I've been here a long time doing this work, and it makes me very proud of the justice system we have now compared to when I first started many years ago, where we all recognize these needs for individuals that are coming in for our court, but we just didn't have the resources. So, we would very commonly see the same individuals, over and over again. So everybody collectively saying, we're going to continue to see this person unless we have some interventions here. We just don't have the resource. I see Councilmember Jefferson has a hand up.
Yes, Patrick. Good morning to you, and thanks again for this update. I often hear and read that legislatures, like myself, are not taking crime seriously. People are getting arrested, being quickly released to reoffending again, and we know that crime is going up. And we discussed the cause of crime going up in our last Law and Justice Committee meeting. Thurston County judges are now using a new risk tool to inform bail decisions. How is it going to work? So my question to you is, how is this going to make a difference to your office, to the community in general?
How much time do you have?
We have about 30 minutes.
No,
Yeah,
it's a
talk
great
to us about
question,
that.
and I appreciate it. So just to take a step back for a minute, Thurston County Law and Justice Partners, this was about 4 years ago, applied to be considered for a grant through the Arnold Ventures Group, this big national organization that picks cities throughout counties throughout the United States to partner with to really examine pretrial processes in that community. And they've been doing this for a number of years all over the country. And we were lucky enough to be selected, ourselves and Pierce County, as luck would have it, 5 different jurisdictions across the country. And our neighboring county and ourselves were selected to be a part of this project. And the project really encompassed examining all practices in a pretrial jurisdiction. So everything from arrests to diversions to bail practices in particular. And so, to answer your question, this has been a long journey for us as criminal justice stakeholders with some common goals and a common mission. And that mission is to enhance public safety in the context of specifically bail practices, enhance public safety, maximize release, and maximize court appearances. And so those are sort of the core tenets of bail practices in particular that are encompassed in the mission statement. And part of this project is being more data-driven and analytical and having better information for the court to determine making risk-based decisions as opposed to charge-based decisions. And so, what we've just launched, actually, that's getting some coverage in the media, is a static risk tool that has been designed specifically for Thurston County with the assistance of a group that's part of the Arnold Ventures project called the Research Triangle Group. I don't know if that's their full name, but the Research Triangle Institute is a group of experts that have worked on data collection and analytics of bail data throughout the country, and they did a case study here in Thurston County to take a big data set, about 10,000 cases or something like that, to try to start to norm this risk tool to specific to Thurston County. And so I can tell you, as again, having done this for a long time, prior to our investment in this project, we really had no data. So we really couldn't tell the community or the stakeholders themselves, what are our rates of releases? What's our average bail amount? What's our average number of court appearances that individuals miss? How often are people that are released or post bail commit a new crime? Sort of all these cornerstone data pieces to have any sense of, are we doing a good job or not? We're just absent, right? And that's not uncommon. Most jurisdictions in Washington, I can tell you because I work with colleagues around the state that just historically don't track this type of very important information. So we're taking our first step here in being a little more analytical, and this tool is just rolled out, so all the system users are getting used to using it, and as we go along, we'll continue to collect data and get a better sense of what current practice is, and then what are some areas that we can agree we can improve upon. So it's a huge topic. I think there's, it's hard to get, it's challenging, I should say, to get good information out there on what the bail rules are, what the law is, what judges have to do when applying the law. And I can understand that, it's just a challenge to get information out there. But what we're committed to doing is employing best practices. And what the best practices have shown nationally is that particularly money bail, for example, is a really tricky, it's a very challenging part of our law in practice. What we've learned along the way is, in a money bail system, which we have here in Washington, it does not, the imposition of money bail doesn't increase court appearances. It doesn't deter individuals from committing a new crime. But there certainly are cases in which, we see them every day. I'm the chief public defender, and we have a money bail system. And for the most egregious allegations, the court has to go through a very systematic analysis, legal analysis. Everybody's presumed to be innocent, obviously, but then you have a very serious allegation. So there are going to be cases in which money bail's imposed. Certainly that makes sense. We're not really talking about those category of cases. It's really the category of cases where we use money bail, have historically used money bail, where we may not need money bail imposed on a case like this if we have a more robust system in place when somebody's released. And it really just gets down to a core principle of, we don't want to have two systems of justice in America, those with financial resources and those that don't. But it's a really challenging task for all those involved. And so this project and this recent release of this tool, we're hopeful will, again, get us make better decisions about which individuals could be released, not miss court, not commit a crime until their case is adjudicated, and we didn't have the cost and the expenses associated with money bail. It's a long answer. I keep going on for a long time, but it's a very, very important issue. It's a very important topic to our community, and for me, my hope is that we're able to continue to educate the community on bail practices, right, what the law is, and what we're trying to achieve here.
Right.
We're all committed to, again, those core principles of.
Right. That was going to be my next question about educating the public, because it's out there that these criminals are just being released, and a lot of us are being soft on crime, and so it's good to see that the education process is starting, and And it's multi-layered, so thanks, Patrick.
You bet. And I'm happy to, if there's a town hall or anything like that that the city wants to put together. You know, I know I'm speaking for myself. I'm sure my colleagues that have been part of this project would make themselves available as well, because we want people to know what we're doing. We want to have people know what the law is and the challenges. It's challenging, but I think it's just one of those things that, you know, we don't want to make policy based on, you know, anecdotes or single cases. We're trying to make policy that is best practice for, you know, an entire population. And it's challenging.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Patrick. That leads into rewind. Peter, hi, nice to see you. Do you have any questions for Patrick before I ask my questions?
So, hi, Patrick. In listening to your answer to Angela, it brings to mind you sort of give a general overview of how you determine if you're of the effectiveness of what you're doing. So my question is, in your data, do you have a way to do you select some certain cases to determine effectiveness, or do you just do a general overview of the effectiveness?
So we do have, so part of the project is we've identified in Washington State what offenses are violent offenses and what would be considered non-violent offenses. So sort of two categories of cases based on Washington law and input from all the stakeholders. So, you know, so when we're talking about new arrests, they're going to fit into two different buckets. It's either a violent offense or a non-violent offense. So someone arrested in the city of Tumwater for assault for domestic violence, that's going to be considered a violent offense in this project. And the reason that's important for us is, you know, because violent offenses have certain meaning in the law, and certainly a judicial officer going through following the law has to consider whether or not an individual poses a likelihood to commit another violent offense, and go through that legal analysis. And if they do, then they can start to consider whether or not the cash bail is appropriate. But before they do that, they have to go through a legal analysis of whether or not there are other least restrictive alternatives to the imposition of money bail. So we do, I guess to answer your question, we do categorize cases of either nonviolent or violent as part of the project, because the analysis for us is legally is a little bit different, right? If it's a violent offense, then the law will direct us to do this type of analysis to determine whether a financial condition is the only means to secure an appearance or to prevent a future criminal act. The challenge for judges in this process, to be candid, is, you know, again, you know, anybody accused of a crime, of course, is presumed to be innocent. And our Washington law says the presumption is this individual should be released without having to make a financial condition, unless, again, they pose a likelihood to commit a violent offense, or they pose a likelihood to not appear if released to a court appearance, or if they are likely to interfere with the administration of justice. And so those are the three, you know, sort of categories legally that the court could impose a financial condition. But it gets really challenging when you get into you know, for example, a case like that where the court believes an individual is likely to commit a violent offense, and there's no least restrictive alternative to the posting of a financial condition in the judicial officer's opinion. Then it comes to another legal obligation for the court is to set a financial condition that the individual can meet, right? So the law requires this individual has to have the ability to actually post that money bail according to the law. And the court has their financial information, screening information in front of them. So it gets really challenging when you say you have an individual that is arrested, accused of X type of crime, and they're on TANF, and that's their only income. But the court's done their analysis and said, and I don't take issue with that, there are going to be cases, obviously, where the individual does pose a likelihood to commit a violent offense. And so the court has to set a financial condition with that legal requirement that I'm setting a number in which somebody could meet because I'm required to do that. So it gets really, really hard. What is that financially? Is it $5,000? Is that too much? Is it 10,000? You know, it's very challenging to do that in practice. That's maybe not answering your question there, but I think it again sort of provides some additional context of how complex this issue is. Did I answer your question okay there, Councilmember?
Yes, you did. So I have a follow-up question. So for repeat offenders, how are those classified, or what happened for repeat offenders? Do you write it up, or do you just kind of look at them as one and the same?
So it really so it depends on what we're referring to when we say repeat offender. So if I hear the word offender, that means that's someone that has been convicted, right? So
Yes.
So what the court will look at if somebody has criminal history, so they have prior convictions, let's say multiple prior convictions, and now they're arrested and appearing in front of the judicial officer on a new arrest. Well, the court considers that criminal history, and our risk tool that we'll talk a little bit about earlier factors in prior criminal history and what type of prior criminal history, right? So is it prior criminal history that's violent? Right? Or is it prior criminal history that's nonviolent? So that goes into our risk tool. How many violent prior offenses? How many prior nonviolent offenses? How many times have they missed court and not appeared in on those cases or in the past 2 years? So all these things get sort of factored in again into a risk-based decision-making analysis with this tool that will assist the judge. Again, judges still get to judge, lawyers still get to lawyer. As we've gone through this process with my lawyers, I think the prosecuting attorneys and et cetera, you know, there's a lot of education going on with the lawyers, right? Is that this risk tool is just but one additional tool for a judicial officer. The judicial officer and the lawyer still get to practice law and make their own decisions on the individual case. But yes, all prior criminal history is considered, you know, in this process. And one thing I think that, you know, I've had many conversations with other community groups and other concerned citizens about practices, et cetera, is if a judicial officer makes an individualized decision on a case and does not require the imposition of a financial condition, let's say, for example, so they PR them, they release them without having to meet a financial condition. They're probably going to be on pretrial service supervision, so they're going to be supervised by our court system. But if they were to commit a new crime or be arrested with an allegation that they've committed a new crime, the prior case that they were released on without a financial condition, they no longer enjoy the benefit of release being the presumption. So a judicial officer can revoke their release and hold them in jail. I think that's one of the things that, you know, we hear is that, you know, if judges are just letting people out in the jail, you know, out in the community, they get arrested, they go right back out, they go right back out. That's misleading, because that really, that is, I can't say that's going to never happen, because again, judicial officers are going to make individualized decisions on every case. But that individual, if they're alleged to commit a new offense while on release on another case, they don't enjoy that release presumption anymore. And the judge can and does very often hold that individual on that prior case without the ability to be released. They're not entitled to bail at that point. And so I think that's, again, that public information, that public education on the process when some members of the community feel that way. And I certainly respect how individuals that are victims of crimes, you know, feel, and a lot of community sentiment about crime is up and the frustration with that. I certainly understand that.
Peter, is that sufficient?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Patrick, that leads into, I have 4 quick questions. One was that last thing you talked about. If you could just walk us through a recent scenario of someone vandalizing, breaking into a business in Tumwater. And then they were released a couple hours later and then broke in again to another business. Does that, when you just talked about like, in that risk tool, is the time in between crimes or offenses, is that weighted? So then you also just talked about that person wouldn't get bail again because they just broke in.
So your first question is, yes, it is. So the tool itself has weights in it, right? And
Okay.
so sort of logically, right? Like if that individual was released on the first allegation and then they're rearrested while that other case is pending on a similar or same type of offense, that's going to be weighted higher, right? So that individual is a higher risk because they have a pending case and they've just been rearrested on a new crime. So that's weighted in the tool with higher weight, right? Which again, keeping it in a risk-based, decision-making tool to help sort of intuitively, right? Okay, this person is creating, it's a greater risk at this point.
Right. But then you take that, right? And then if you're doing violent, non-violent, like violent against property versus violence against a person. So that, is that also factored in of?
It is factored in as whether or not it's a violent offense or a non-violent offense.
Right.
Again, if they were if both of these cases were both considered to be non-violent property offenses,
Right.
the violation of the release conditions when that second case is scored is going to be higher than the first score because they have a pending case. And as to what would happen in that case, again, the judge is going to make an individualized decision, but that prior case, again, that individual no longer enjoys the Washington protections of presumption being the release. Now the judge can say, I'm revoking your release. I'm going to hold you without bail on that case because of this new allegation.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick, for that. The other question I have is, how does one qualify for being indigent? Is there someone just says they can't pay, or is there other measurements?
Yes, so there is a standard administrative officer of the court form that every individual arrested is to complete, and they complete that under the penalty of perjury. That's a decision that the court is statutorily obligated to make. So we assist, the defendants filling that form out by providing them the form, et cetera. But they submit that form to the court. The court reviews it, and then there's standards to determine indigency, which is essentially 125% of the federal poverty level, and that's all statutory criteria there. But there is a standard form. It's not done orally, et cetera. Sometimes the court has to engage, in some missing information. Let's say, for example, the court has additional questions about a specific item on that form that the defendant maybe didn't fill out, or the court just has more. But it's a form.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick. And with that, versus those who can pay and those who cannot, and the percentage when Christy Peters came from the prosecuting attorney's office on September 12th, she gave us numbers up to June. Do you know, is it around 50% that are claiming that they're indigent, or is it more? Like of the cases in Tumwater, I know she had told us in September, as of June, they had like 138 cases, right? Is there a way to track those numbers and see like the percentage of those who are indigent I can never say that word, indigent in Tumwater versus those who are not claiming that?
Yes, we could. Yeah, I could certainly run that against the court's numbers. So
Okay.
the court tracks the total number of criminal cases from the city of Tumwater. Obviously, we track the number of assignments that we get. I know
Right.
the court recently represented to the board during budget meetings that about 80% overall of the cases, or 80% of the cases that come into district court qualify for public defense. So, but included in that are Thurston County District Court cases. So I could get that number to you. Anecdotally, again,
It's over
on our last
50%.
it's over 50%. I would be very surprised if it was 50% of the individuals from the city of Tumwater cases did not qualify.
Right. Okay. I'm just always trying to look at, like, I'm excited to when Angela presents from Law and Justice, more of that data, the measurements of like,
Yeah.
so the root causes, right? So the services we provide in Tumwater, what does that look like, and access to services? So I think I feel like there's a good opportunity here to look at that data and figure out how we're serving our community members and what that looks like.
Yeah, and I 100%. And we've worked very closely with the BHA, and I know they're always looking to expand embedded services with communities, and a lot of conversations with and Jay Mason's been in a lot of these meetings as well. So yeah, I'm confident that if the city's interested in having more conversations with the BHA about those types of opportunities, they'd be happy to have those conversations.
Perfect. Patrick, we appreciate you coming this morning, and just, it helps us link everything together, right? Hearing from your office and the prosecutor's office, and then how we move forward. And I appreciate what you're doing and access to services and data, and also the lead. I think there's untapped potential with expanding that as well. So thank you, Patrick.
Oh, you bet. Yeah, thank you all for having me. Again, I just, objectively as a citizen of this community, not in my role, but just partially in my role as well. This is really good for the city of Tumwater to be a part of our justice system, no matter what your perspective on or your role, to be a part of this larger justice system. Not just for, the services and the things that we're doing outside of court, but also the practice in the courtrooms, right? At the end of the day, cases are going to be tried, right? And cases are going to be tested, and individuals that, are going through the court system. We have a very strong court system for traditional court, which is, really, really great to be a part of as well. And yeah, well, anytime I can offer any more information to the city, I'm always available. We love this partnership, and it's something we just look to continue to grow over time. Happy to chat more about this quality. Things seem to be great there. As I tease my staff, complaints go up. So I haven't heard any complaints or anything like that from our staff about the jail out there. So I think everything's going well. If it wasn't, I would have heard about it, at least from their perspective.
Right. Thank you, Patrick. Angela, Peter, do you have anything else for Patrick? Otherwise, he can get on with his day.
Yes, thanks for your continued service, Patrick. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Patrick.
You bet. Thank you all for the time, and hope I didn't run over.
No, you're perfect.
Okay.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah.
Troy, thank you for that intro for Patrick as well. We are on to item number 6, additional items. Does anyone have any additional items? You don't have to, you can always follow up. The one thing I would just say is for our Public Health and Safety Committee meeting on November 14th. Right now we have the 2024 to 2026 service provider agreement with Summit Towing. So it's not a heavy agenda. That's what we have right now. And then Chief Wicks is also looking to prepare. We talked about school resource officers, what they're seeing for this school year. That is hopefully going to be in December, right? To see what they're seeing since the school year started, what their measurements will be, what they're trying to accomplish this school year, right? Because they adapt and modify depending on what they're seeing. So think about any questions you might have, that we could be better prepared to have that discussion potentially in December. If there is nothing else, anything else from staff, I see everyone's video is off, so that means Lieta end the meeting. Seeing no one else but smiles from Peter and Angela, meeting adjourned at 8:44. Thank you all, and see you in a few hours.
Thank you. You guys have a great day.
You too. Bye, Peter.